Now talking about Starlink's India website, which has revealed their monthly pricing plan ahead of their launch. The residential plan is priced at 8,600 rupees a month for access to its satellite-enabled internet services, along with an additional 34,000 rupees for the hardware kit for the installation. So the hardware kit is that essential equipment that is required to use Starlink services, which includes a satellite dish that sends and receives internet signals, and it involves a Wi-Fi router that converts those signals into a usable wireless network for devices. Let's go across to my colleague Rishabh Bhatnagar. He's joining us from Delhi to walk us through the kind of plans that have been revealed as far as Starlink is concerned. Rishabh, they do sound expensive, but why don't you walk us through the kind of price reveal they've done for the India operations?
Right. We have a very interesting update that has come in from the quarters of Starlink India today. What we've seen is that they've revealed their India pricing today. It's at of course, a heftier cost than what we are used to in terms of paying for data. But the price exactly is about rupees 8,600 for a monthly residential plan that has come out by Starlink. And this is apart from the 34,000 rupees that one will have to pay as perhaps a one-time setup or an installation charge of about 34,000 rupees. That includes a dish and a router. Remember, this is all space. This is internet that is getting routed directly from space. So there is an additional cost in terms of hardware that comes with it. And what we're seeing is that the overall cost is roughly about 42,600 to get started for a Starlink residential plan right here in India. There will be some sort of a city price as well that will come in over the next few days. There will be city locations and there will be certain changes in prices that will also come in. So that is something that we're looking forward to. There's also a business plan that Starlink will announce, but we don't have details for that as of yet. But so far, what we know is roughly 8,500 rupees for a monthly Starlink subscription here in India.
Thanks very much, Rishabh. So we're asking if Elon Musk's satellite broadband can actually challenge India's ultra-low price telecom market, or is it going to remain a premium niche? With us is telecom strategist Sanjay Kapoor. Let's find out from him. Mr. Kapoor, welcome to NDTV Profit. Nice of you to make the time to tell us what you think now that Starlink has finally revealed that India pricing. 34,000 rupees for hardware, 8,600 rupees per month. So at first glance, what do you make of it for a market where Jio and Airtel offer broadband at about a tenth of that price?
Good evening to you and your viewers. Let me begin by saying that I think it is mythical to be comparing Starlink services with the terrestrial networks. I'm very clear about it, that they are complementing what is available today. They're not supplementing what is available. So I think the areas which are fiber dark, the areas that are terrestrial network dark are the areas that automatically become customers for Starlinks and other satellite players. This space is evolving. They still don't know at what price the spectrum and what terms the spectrum will come to them. That is yet to be revealed. I think these prices just tell you that there's a customer who's not getting any type of service from anybody. And for him, any price is okay because he's absolutely in a network dark area. So I think it's really targeted to that. They're not launching these prices to be competing with an Airtel and a Jio. I think this is just complementing those areas which are network dark, as I spoke with you. That's one. Plus, these services are evolving. Today, there are services that are giving you customer premise equipment as a necessary investment to get these services. There are others that are coming into the fray that can take calls directly or the services directly on your handsets. And those like services will also come in future. So I think the jury is still out. It's very early days. I also believe that their enterprise will be more compelling than their consumer offerings. And that's where they would like to grow and make money probably and serve those customers that are unserved today. Competing with telcos is totally out. I don't see that's a competition that they're going to be facing. Neither the regulator will allow them to enter that space.
And I'll come to the enterprise part in a moment. But since you mentioned the network dark areas, and that initially I would imagine talks about rural and remote India. So one wonders whether this kind of pricing automatically locks out the very user segment that needs connectivity the most.
Yes, I mean, if you're talking about the least common denominator and serving that least common denominator in the rural India, these prices definitely are not going to cut ice with those like consumers. I think this is for those guys who today don't get a service but are willing to pay any price. And those could be offshoots of enterprise in a roundabout fashion. So I think this is definitely not for those guys who are today willing to pay 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 500 rupees. This is much beyond that. People who want more data because it's unlimited data. We don't know what speeds that data will be given. We don't know what the consumer experience will be. And that's why I say the jury is still out. But it is targeted at somebody who's a serious user of technology, of data, who's not getting the services today.
So how ideal is it for them? We're talking about enterprise customers, like you mentioned. So are they offshore operations? Are they remote infrastructure, defense, disaster relief? Who do you think is going to find Starlink's facilities, its offering more conducive with the pricing that they have?
Well, this pricing is for the consumer. Therefore, people who work for large corporates or defense forces or offshore drilling, and many such like people who are not getting services probably today of quality, those guys will be customers for such like services. I think their strategy seems pretty clear. They want a paying customer, a high-end paying customer. It is not to really service those small customers who are not being serviced by 5G or 4G as yet.
But still, having said so, globally, if you consider how Starlink positions itself, it is a premium service. And I'm just wondering if in India, it needs a different kind of pricing model, tiered pricing perhaps, or government partnerships or any kind of rural subsidies for them to make a successful business model out of this. Do they have to look at the Indian market differently rather than its premium approach, which applies to many other geographies?
I'll be surprised because these services cost a lot of money. We've seen satellite companies come in the past, right from the Iridium days. The satellites to launch cost money, and it's difficult to bring down the pricing on these. Spectrum in India is probably the most expensive in the world. Don't know at what prices are they going to get the spectrum. But the cost of service per se is high. I mean, when you compare it with a Jio or a Airtel, who really today offer services at $3 ARPU, $3.50 ARPU, is probably because of the volumes that they've generated. Can a satellite service generate that sort of a volume? They're not going to have that sort of a spectrum, first of all. I don't think the regulation is going to allow them to be competing in the same space as Jio and Airtel and Voda Idea compete. So I think they have a niche play. And in that niche play, probably they want to target the high-end paying customers. That's what the current pricing looks like. This is not a mass pricing.
Regulatory standpoint, Mr. Kapoor, then do you see any hurdles or headwinds for Starlink? Is spectrum allocation going to be the biggest pain point for them?
Well, spectrum is probably the most expensive ingredient for any telecom service provider in our country. And for them as well, till they know at what price they'll get the spectrum, what terms they'll get the spectrum. I think to really plan out a full-fledged operations will remain at hold till such time, according to me.
But we ourselves are working on our own satellite. That satellite broadband push is coming through, and that includes a Geo satellite and a OneWeb. So you think Starlink is going to face that tougher competition besides the regulatory hurdle and what may be revealed as high spectrum pricing for Starlink as well in our market?
Yes, satellite is becoming a competitive space everywhere. And I don't see why any serious satellite player would not want a share of the Indian pie. I mean, they'll all jostle for the space here. So yes, Starlink will face competition, but don't forget, Starlink has a distinct advantage of launching their own satellites, which is at a much cheaper price and stuff. So they have an advantage. They have a technology advantage. They've gone and rolled out in many countries ahead of others. So let's see. But like I said, the jury is still out. This space is going to unfurl over the next few years, and we'll figure out how this space really catches the consumer attention.
But talking about Elon Musk and Starlink, it takes me back to the kind of disruption that he did in the EV market. He did that globally. So one wonders whether this kind of premium offering, this kind of network, is it really going to work for him in the sense of serving the underserved pockets even? That kind of business model, do you think he has a genuine shot at disrupting Indian broadband right now?
So telecom, in my parlance, is a mark-to-market business. It is not about what you do in isolation. It is about what you do in relation to your competition. The competition has not unfurled their story as yet, so we cannot comment on how he'll perform versus others. If you look at everybody else, Airtel has to perform vis-a-vis Jio, Jio has to perform vis-a-vis Airtel, VIL has to perform vis-a-vis other competitors. So it's a mark-to-market play. So we'll see when the other players come and unfurl their pricing in the market and the strategy in the market. We'll figure out whether he's competitive or not. But I don't see any of these satellite players not being competitive and surviving in the market.
Well, we are known to be a very price-sensitive market. So when it comes to pricing, it's going to be a key driver for the success or not of a business. And yes, indeed, Starlink is still in the game to redefine connectivity in India, considering that it's the first one to take off, but only if the economics make sense for Indian users, not just, of course, the technology. But for now, affordability is going to be the real frontier. Mr. Kapoor, it's such a pleasure always to have you and your insights on NDTV Profit. Thank you for joining us this evening.